temporary president anyway. I hope I do a satisfactory job. So, we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As is our custom, I would ask that we have a moment of silence for our recently departed and all those suffering throughout the world, including our beloved president. Thank you. Okay, we'll have a roll call from Melissa.
Michael Messina is absent.
Absent.
Ed Whitman,
Present.
Mary Adler,
Present.
Carol Butterworth,
Present.
Charlie Robb.
Here.
Can I please have a motion for the approval of the minutes from the October 16th board meeting?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the October 16th open board meeting.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. We'll now move on to the president's report, which includes whatever motions we voted on and documented by the board members, informal matters, updates, et cetera, et cetera. I'm reading from Mike's script. He's helping me out here. So, the first motion that we need to vote on will be for the extension and continuation of services of Taylor Management as our property manager. This will be for an extension of 3 years with an average annual increase of 1.7% per year. The average annual cost is $167,000 over the 3-year period. May I please have a motion for the proposed renewal of the Taylor Management contract as we have just stated? May I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the 3-year renewal for management service by Taylor Management Company as read.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right, then, all members in favor, please vote. Aye. 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 Say aye.
I did.
All right. Motion carries. The second motion has to do with the pool services. For the indoor and the outdoor pools. Presently, we're using American Pool Company, and we will be switching back to a vendor who Lakeridge used years ago, that being Candlewood Pool. This charge will save Lakeridge approximately $30,000 a year. So, that's good. So may I please have a motion for the change in proposed pool services?
I make a motion to accept the 1-year contract for pool management services by Candlewood Management Services as read.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right, all in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Motion carries. I should ask anyone say nay. Then the motion carries. In regard to the pool company changing, we are making provisions to keep Ray as our lifeguard and Paul and Jessica, who are residents employed by Candlewood. So they'll be continuing on in their usual positions. Well, that's it for the motions. Now, continuing the President's report, I'll hand the floor over to Ray, who has some not so good news. So, Ray?
Well, having been involved with this, it is bad news. It was unexpected, but just to give everybody an explanation what's going on to date with the association insurance coverage. And that is one of the most important items affecting the annual budget is the association's insurance coverage. These policies cover the property, general liability, auto, crime, workman's compensation, directors and officers policy, which would include liability to clubs and committees working under the direction of the board. Insurance premiums have been rising over the last few years with catastrophes nationwide, and we were estimated to look at a 20 to 25% increase in the beginning of our budget process. On November 1st, we were contacted by our broker, USI Services, that our carrier, Philadelphia Insurance, was not going to renew with us and would terminate on December 8th. The reason that they were dropping us is the 5-year loss run report for Lake Ridge showed 5 claims against the association consisting of slips and falls. Now, a lot of these slips and falls would be reported. They were reported prior to 2022, and they have up to 2 years to actually come to court to be addressed. 5 is an exorbitant number for insurance companies, and based on that and the slips and fall claims reports from the previous insurance company caused Philadelphia to decide to drop us. What we did immediately, USI was contacted, they sat down and had a conference call with the board and the finance committee, and they had told us that they were going to go out and get proposals from 6 other carriers. In that time, we had drafted a letter to Philadelphia, an appeal letter, letting them know what the association has done, repairs, safeguards, preventive maintenance plans, the fact that the community had adopted tort immunity to kind of help out and explain that, look, it's an older community, granted, but we're taking all these steps to be safe and take care of things. And because of that letter, Philadelphia decided to come back, but only to cover the property. So USI is now out there looking, and we should have the proposal shortly for the auto, for the crime, and general liability. The workman's compensation has already been renewed through Zurich, so that wasn't a problem. When USI did forward the letter to Philadelphia, stating what the association has done to prevent future losses, their response was simply, we cannot reconsider renewing the policy due to the frequency of losses in the community with one still open. There's one going in court from 2022, which was a guest who was here visiting someone, trip and fall during the asphalt project. The other one was a recent resident who was walking, tripped over a section of sidewalk that's been since repaired and had some medical problems, medical injury, facial injuries. Those medical bills were paid for by the insurance company. There's only the one pending case, and that's the guest slip and fall. But they were not going to renew the policy due to those frequency of losses. As I said, USI is now soliciting additional proposals. They're supposed to have the number to us shortly. However, we expect that figure to be well above the 25% increase that we were originally looking at. And in some cases, we were told that it could be up to 100% increase on the premiums for 2025. Again, this is unknown until we get the figures in. This is also the reason why the budget presentation was postponed until we have those figures. It's impossible to construct the budget for 2025. Once we receive the figures, they'll be forwarded to the Finance Committee and the Board in order to complete the 2025 budget for presentation. And that date is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, December 3rd, here in the ballroom at 7 p.m. So we just wanted to give you a heads up of what's going on, the reasons we were getting, that we are actively going out there. USI has been one of the strongest insurance representatives out there for Community Association for years. And the board and the finance committee have full faith that we will have coverage coming into the year. We just don't know by who or how much at this time. So, thank you.
Ray, what was Philadelphia covering?
Phil, we'll do the questions after.
Well,
What was Philadelphia covering?
Philadelphia had the whole commercial package, and we're going to hold questions till after the meeting.
but they had the whole package, except for the workman's comp.
Thank you, Ray. Now I'll assume my vice president's role, and as liaison to the grounds committee, make a report from grounds. Grounds held its last meeting of the year this past Monday, and some items from that meeting are that we were trying to remediate the erosion on the slopes that are so visible throughout the community. And the first step in that remediation program, which unfortunately, depending on the budget, may not be happening soon. But anyway, the first step would be from the gazebo around to Spring Hill, where the rain and the erosion, the recent drought, has caused the exposure of so much dirt. So the grounds committee and the board are going out looking at proposals to remediate that. One of which would be to put stones down so that it would not erode or need to be covered with vegetation. So that's one thing from grounds. The other was the issue of streetlights. As you drive around at night, you notice so many of our streetlights are out. Now, JCP&L has reported that they are receiving these reports and they get to them as quickly as possible, but one of the problems is that some of the crews from JCP&L have been sent down to the Carolinas to help remediate the emergency problems of the recently caused by the Hurricane Helene. So that's a pretty good excuse. Our street lamps as compared to the people down there in the Carolinas, unfortunately we will have to wait. So,
Speaking
okay, that's about it from grounds. And for the vice president's report, there'll be no treasurer's report. So we'll move over to the secretary's report for Carol Butler.
Thank you, Ed. Liaison to the Documents and Policy Committee. And it's currently working on incorporating certain features into the bylaws. Can't hear you. Must be the mic. Is this any better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Certain items such as cybersecurity, ADR procedures, ARC specifics, etc. are being discussed. Then the results will be turned over to our lawyers for legal review. Regarding security, some teenagers have been bothering the gatehouse at the Route 70 entrance. The police have been called, cameras have been set, and the guards know who the teens are. So if they return, they should be caught. Okay, thank you, Ed.
Charlie? Secretary, Director of Lodge report.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. I have in my possession the updated 2025 architectural standards. They should be, the board each has a copy of them. We will be looking over them and we will, I'm sure, ratify them at our December 5th workshop. And shortly thereafter, you folks will be getting a copy of these. I have a few things to report for the ARC. As of this date, there have been 241 violation letters sent out to this date. In 2023, a full year, there were 254 violations sent out. There are 4 active homeowners right now having fines levied against them monetarily. I ask you that if you're not sure, and this goes out to a lot of our new homeowners, if you're not sure please put in an architectural standard application. Anything you do to the exterior of your home, anything, requires an architectural standard, an architectural application. I was talking to Phil. As you know, holiday lights and Christmas lights can be put up over the Thanksgiving weekend, and we have no problem if you decide to hit the switch Thanksgiving night or the weekend leading up until December 1st. So feel free to put those lights on. It's a little frivolous to wait 3 days to put them on when everybody wants to anyway. One side note, one of our homeowners got in touch with me, and I know a lot of you folks are having trouble with the Palladium windows. She got in touch with Carlson's Glass and Mirror. They are located in Brielle on Route 71. She had them come. They removed the glass from the Palladium window. They repaired the grids. They replaced the gas insulation and replaced all the gaskets. So the window has become, in essence, a double insulated window again. The price for that was $1,300 plus tax. Now, if you're looking to replace the Palladium or the two windows below, it's about a $3,000 or $4,000 investment. So you might do pretty well if you get in touch with Carlson's. They're right, you can go Google them and get their phone number, and they'll come out and give you an estimate. But it looked like right around $1,300 plus tax. I know myself, a lot of the contractors, if you offer them cash, they forget the tax. So, just a little extra. I think that's about all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. I'd just like to return for a moment to the Vice President's report. One of the more important things that the board has considered and has actually now voted to do is to switch our trash collection to the township. This will save us a considerable amount of money. Nevertheless, the details of this need to be understood by all the community. So we're planning on having 2 town hall meetings at which these details will be explained. There'll be a meeting on December 9th at 10 o'clock in the morning, followed by one at 7 o'clock in the evening, same day, December 9th. These meetings will be by representatives of the town who will explain the logistics of how this is going to work. We need to get back to the town with a contract authorizing them to purchase the requisite number of robo-cans, new robo-cans. Now, the schedule of the pickups will be different, once a week and twice a week, one other week for recycles. So once a week for trash, once every 2 weeks for recycles. Now, these cans need to be, according to our current park regulations, need to be stored inside the garage. Now, with people having single-car garages, that may prove to be difficult. Nevertheless, the board has received from Greenbrier their layout and their diagrams as to how you can fit these cans into a one-car garage. We hope that those details do apply to our one-car garages, and we'll have to see how this works out. Another issue is that with these cans, if they do need to be placed outside, we'll need to have, for our elderly and sometimes infirm residents, we'll need to have someone come and assist them with the management of the cans back and forth from the curb. So the township also has a program where you can list the people who need that assistance. So the township is aware of that, and they're pitching in to the extent that they know of it. We also have helping hands here within the community, neighbors who are willing to help other neighbors get those cans in and out from the curb. So that's an important thing to consider. Okay, that's that. Now, continuing on, I have some pleasant announcements. The cladding project in terms of the clubhouse is essentially completed. We're now in compliance with the non-flammable material ordinance within 13 inches of the entire perimeter of the building. The addition of rocks and border, and the border holding in the rocks is now complete. You will note that there have been areas where the flower beds have been downsized and bare dirt is showing. These areas will be seeded in the spring. Makes no sense to seed them now. We'll seed it in the spring. Okay, there being no other business to conduct, this seems to conclude the business portion of the meeting. And can I have what? Right. Oh, right, Ray's report, okay, excuse me.
Hey, you gotta
Bear with me, I'm doing
you
this.
just got all the stuff right 10 minutes ago, so. Great job, you 10 minutes earlier.
No, thank you, Ed. I want you to, hopefully you'll bear with me. This is a two-bottle night tonight. It's a pretty lengthy report, but just to give you an idea of what's going on, just to detail on some of the facts with the trash removal. We are looking at a April 1st start date for this services. So while we have time before we have to do any transition, we have to get the paperwork done right away. The current contract with Waste Management, it terminates as of July of 2025. Another 3-year contract would probably come in and they charge 7.5% increase for every year. We're looking at that once we get done with these expenses and the transition, there will be no charges for the trash afterwards once the township comes in, which would be a substantial savings coming into the future. Greenbrier found it very beneficial to their homeowners, and everything seems to be going well. We hope for the same progress here. Just some projects that have been ongoing and closing out here. We have 2326 East Ashfield, the HUD home here that's still empty. It was supposedly, there was an offer made on it a few months ago, which never fell through. However, with ARC's cooperation, we did have a inspection done on the unit. Aside from because the HUD maintenance company will only take care of the interior, we had the attorney let this company know that we will take care of the exterior repairs. It will be charged to the maintenance account. We expect reimbursement. The account for this home is currently paid up. In fact, they have a positive balance going forward. But we had the power washing and bed maintenance completed. The only thing left for us to do is cut above is waiting for a mark out to have that large flush cut stump removed from the front of the residence and have the street tree installed there. Guardrail damage on Morningdale Avenue. There was a car accident there from a resident back in October. A single vehicle accident in early morning. We had that damage assessed. Proposals for repair. The resident's insurance company has paid for the damages, and we will have those repaired soon. So at no cost to the association, that'll be taken care of. One of the more popular items on our list lately has been landscaping. The cuts are now in progress with the leaf cleanup. However, the 2 contracted leaf cleanups have not been completed yet. They will have one scheduled in and around the Thanksgiving timeline, and we'll have one in December before Christmas. Those were included in the contract. These, although they may call them complimentary, we were asking for this due to the volume of leaves coming down to the drought and the amount of leaves that were being piled up. So they have been coming up with the vacuum truck. They weren't here today. Depending on the rain this weekend, if it continues, and hopefully not anything else falling down from the sky, we can get that cleaned up, and the Board of Meticulous Landscaping will be scheduling a meeting shortly to go over the 2024 performance and how things progress from there. We did have a conference call with Tom's River Municipal Clerk and the Public Works Department to discuss not only the trash pickup and municipal reimbursements, but also snow removal, as we had a lot of problems with that last year. Most landscapers in this area are in contract with Tom's River Township, where Tom's River will pay a subsidy depending on what snow service is provided. However, the company has to have permission from the township at first. The numbers that they gave meticulous last year, they gave them one number, was not an after-hours number, and if everybody remembers the January 19th storm, it came after 6 p.m. on a Friday night, and all hell broke loose. Nobody could get a hold of the township. The board made the decision to have service done, and the service was done. However, the township denied any reimbursement for that. We have submitted those invoices, hoping to get a little payback from them. We haven't heard yet, but when talking to Tom's River, we have an extra number of phone numbers and the system where meticulous, when they're doing the snow removal, can contact them at any time to get permission to go through. And hopefully we won't take the hit in the snow fund like we did this year.
Stop talking about snow.
Sorry. Tree removal proposals have been approved from the seasonal grounds committee recommendation. Cut Above is out there taking care of 10 to 11 trees with stump removal. These are removals that were planned and designated for the preventive maintenance account. So they'll be in progress. Just to expound on the trespassing teens, and as I mentioned that before, we've been going back and forth with the police on this. There really has been no action or help from them. We had the attorney involved, and they've been in touch with the Sergeant Doyle over there, and we have every provision set up for when we do catch them. It's just that we have to catch them. And by the time the guard calls them in, really the only guard that has taken action with these guys has been Dan, but Dan's only here till 4 o'clock. These latest incidents with these teens have happened Friday night, Saturday night, 11 o'clock, midnight, once at 4 in the morning. And actually the guard, they came up at midnight one night and 4 o'clock in the morning, banging on the side of the gate shack, banging on the window. It affected that one guard so much that he resigned and he's gone. We have a new guard in there. But the last time they did do damage to the interior of the window of the guardhouse, which we're having repaired. The cops, again, they did respond, but by the time they got here, there was no one here. And through investigations, we know what area they're coming from. Trail cameras have been put up in these areas. Again, they're wearing hood and ski masks, which they're smart for some little buggers, but hopefully we'll get an ID on these guys and we can take care of them. Ironically, they're the same kids that come up here and trespass and fish during the summer. It's just that, like the police said, being that they're juveniles, we can't ask for their information, we can't detain them, and even the cops in some cases can't. The laws protecting them are widespread. So we're working with them to get some kind of enforcement here going, and hopefully the trail cameras can take care of that. Excuse me. Some projects we have looking at in 2025, we're planning on a slow year to recoup a lot of the reserve money that was spent with the cladding project, with the asphalt and concrete what we had going on. But we did have Quality First out here this week. We were performing inspections on tennis court handrail. That was requested, some repairs to the edging on the shuffleboard courts. But also we're looking at the pool deck where the plastic expansion joints have cracked in some areas where the sidewalk was raised. And as I mentioned before, that's a pretty intense repair. You have to grind down into the plastic as it's underneath the concrete, to get rid of the plastic and then put some sort of concrete caulk in there. So we're getting proposals to start with about 10-foot squares where we do have trip areas at this point, and try to get that cleaned up and work with that systematically through the year as much as we can. The board have already approved Kipcon Engineering to perform the visual inspection on the retaining walls that we had. We do have the one at Crisfield and Vicari that is a priority. We're waiting for the proposal to prepared the specifications to go out to bid from KidCon. They're busy with end-of-year capital reserve studies, but we were told we would get the proposal soon. The ideal time of year to do that is in the winter. When you look at these higher retaining walls, they're holding back a lot of dirt. They're saying that the ground should be frozen, solid if it can be, so that when the wood rails are removed, any vegetation or trees are removed, there's no collapse and make it easier. So we're looking at least to get that in the works. There's no idea when we could start it, but we want to start looking at it before anything does happen and get that on the radar. Our RFID entry program is still in the planning stages for the entry gates. We do have proposals from companies for the equipment that has been plugged in, projected into the budget as a possible project for the next coming year. The committee does need to meet to schedule their meeting to start discussions with this, but that is something that is still on the radar. And while the clubhouse landscaping has been completed, we're holding off work on the annex until start planning that around spring. That'll have a similar landscaping around there with the shrubs, replanting, and the edgings. Preventive maintenance plans for weekly drain box inspections, the detention basins. We have proposed and we have money plugged in for that, for an annual project to clean out the detention basins after winter to get the debris cleaned out, have a lot of those riprap trails cleaned out to help with the flow of the water, and hopefully we won't have person to persons unknown building dams on those riprap rivers anymore. McGovern Legal Services has been, we did contract them to talk to the Tom's River attorney to talk about the municipal reimbursement. As you said, the last meeting, I believe we mentioned that we did invoice for the municipal trash for the first and second quarter of 2024, along with leaf collection for 2023, and the first 6 months of lighting expenses for the town, for the community. We did receive that check about a month and a half ago. October 1st, to settle that, but now that we seem to be in good graces then with the trash removal, we actually just received the third quarter invoice, the check for the invoices on Monday, which was well ahead of their schedule, and it was actually for the exact amount that we invoiced. If that means that they're gonna hit us with a cap at the end of the year, we don't know, like they did for 22 or 23. We'll have to see what happens, but the payments have been coming, which were long needed. And we are still working with the attorneys to find out what, if any, we're gonna get back for 2022 and 2023. It was a subsequent amount, and as far as the township was considered, they didn't know us anything. We're still working on it. Our search for an activity coordinator is still going. We've been working with a staffing agency and private postings. We did find some, we did have one person in here. She was good on the computer, however, she wasn't comfortable with customer contact. We did have, staffing agency did send a good number of resumes over, but, you know, compared to what we're looking for, they didn't meet the objective. We did have a successful interview today. We have another one tomorrow. Erin is tentatively on temporary disability until December 6th. We're still waiting for medical reports on her to see how she's doing. We do get updates, but we don't know how long if this disability will keep going or what. But we do need to get at least some part-time help in there to work with the activities, if not to supplement Fran and Alyssa. And we are working with Marion Security to allow for easier access for guests and family on Thanksgiving Day. We had passes made up, and we'll put out an announcement tomorrow that passes will be available to residents for their family members, and this will allow the guests to come in, just drive through, hand the press to the gate, and come on in. There won't be any phone calls. It'll make easier access for your family and guests that come in for that day. I just have an announcement here from our Helping Hands Committee that we felt it necessary just to report on. This is from Alan Maines, the chair of the Helping Hands Committee. This was on November 16th. But he said, on Friday afternoon, I received a request from Alyssa to help the House family to replace a battery in their chirping smoke detector. No simple task since they have communication limitations. I assigned Joe Milano and Tom Heinbach to correct the issue. They arrived at the home Saturday morning and replaced the battery, but the detector continued to chirp. And you can tell this is a military man right here. Going above the call of duty, they called First Alert, and the manufacturer determined that they had a defective detector. First Alert is sending a replacement detector free of charge, which Joe and Tom will install when received. They just wanted us to report this at the open meeting for these gentlemen for the superb effort and the effort of these Helping Hands Committee. And I only have one more page, and it's usually around this time of year we do it. And it's just to, as we have an aging community and there's a lot of work going on this year, it's just a couple of the accomplishments that the association took care of this year. The capital projects were planned, many items on this list were not budgeted, but were necessary due to the aging of the community. But we had one new fountain in the pond, in the large pond repaired, new wiring and lights. The front monument refurbishment was completed after the first of the year. Perimeter fence was installed behind Lennox Street. The Phase 4 asphalt replacement was completed. They installed stop lines at intersections, not only from the new asphalt, but previous areas that weren't there. Sidewalk replacement and repair project was completed. We are taking areas that we are inspecting for 2025 for any trip hazards out there. The annex cladding and siding project was completed. The clubhouse concrete repairs were completed, and also a rear ramp here was put in with the concrete project as well, handicap ramp. We had landscape enhancements completed around the clubhouse. With the cladding, we had new windows and doors installed, frames installed as they were rusting out. We did retaining wall inspections, planning on getting that as a future project. New fitness center equipment was purchased. New pool chemical feeders. We had a new pool pump and filter put in. New pool umbrellas. A new pool gate access reader. Expanded and improved audio equipment. We have the tree removal program in progress. They had trimmed trees that were covering the street lights. New sensors and upgrades on irrigation wells 1, 2, and 8. The new Helping Hands Committee was established. We hired a new legal firm, brought all collection actions current, restricted covenant provisions vote held and passed, trail cameras acquisition and area monitoring was implemented. There was a lot of work done this year. Like I said, some of it was capital, some of it was unexpected, but there was a lot of work, and this is what expected of an aging community. This is where your budget money goes to. So we've been busy, and hopefully we have a slower year this year, but the repairs will always continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. And I believe that that does conclude the business portion of our meeting. And if I can have a motion to close the meeting.
I have a question. Hello?
Excuse me.
What is a robo-can?
Can we hold the questions until we close the meeting? Okay? Do we have a motion to close?
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of closing?